Good morning. I am Mrs. M. Sasikala, Assistant Professor, Department of English. In this video, I am going to narrate Laburnum for My Head short story. It was written by Demzula. Every month of May, an extraordinary thing is happening in the cemetery. There are many graves in that cemetery. In that cemetery, an Indian laburnum tree stands majestically with its beautiful yellow flowers. These laburnum flowers started blooming so many years back. Others may think that the tree in the cemetery grown accidentally. People usually visit the cemetery in the week of Easter and clean the marble grave, but they are not aware of the history of laburnum tree in the cemetery. Lentina refers to she. She, nothing but only Lentina. Lentina likes the tree very much. The yellow flowers bend towards the earth. It shows its humbleness. She decides to plant a laburnum sapling in her garden. One day, she buys 2 saplings from the nursery and plant it in the corner of her garden. She follows the instruction given by the nurseryman. Unfortunately, the saplings are plucked by the gardener along with the weeds and thrown off. Next year, she buys 3 saplings and plants them in 3 corners of her garden, but they are eaten by stray cows. Third time it was washed out by the heavy rain. Lentina is upset, but she doesn't want to give up. She hopes that the laburnum tree will grow in her garden. She doesn't say anything about her wish and laburnum tree to anyone. One day her husband died. She wants to go to the burial ground. Initially, everyone resists her idea. Later, they allow her to come with them to the burial ground. When she reaches, she sees the cemetery. Suddenly, she gets an idea. She wants to plant the laburnum tree under her burial ground. She decides to plant the tree near her grave. She is very happy about her plan, but she cannot execute her plan alone. She needs someone's help. She decides to choose her driver. His name is Mapu. Everyone calls him Babu. Babu's son-in-law is working in government office. He is a widower. Next day, she goes to cemetery with Babu. Instead of going to her husband's grave, she goes and looks at the vacant land. This gives surprise to Babu. She calls Babu and tells him that she should be buried in this place. Babu shocks and tells her that she will be buried only the nearby place of her husband's graveyard. She replies that the place nearby to her husband can be given to one of her sons. She tells him that she is ready to spend money to allot the place for her. She insists him to talk with his son-in-law regarding this. The son-in-law of Babu tells him that Lentina should give official requisition letter to allot the plot for her. This idea is dropped as she doesn't like to inform anyone about her wish. After a few days, Babu and Lentina go to the cemetery. This time she wants to see the vacant land which is near to the cemetery. She tells Babu that the southern boundary extension is good. But Babu doesn't know the reason for her new idea. One day, Lentina's husband's friend's son visits her house to give condolence for her husband's death. She knows that the nearby land of cemetery belongs to him. He tries to sell the land, but the land is near the cemetery. No one is ready to buy it. Lentina is happy. She tells him that she is ready to buy the land. She further asks him not to reveal anybody regarding the sale to anyone. She asks him to bring the document to her house at 11 o'clock next day. Later, her sons know it. They are angry on their mother. She has done all this with the help of her driver, Babu, but she tackles the situation smoothly. Now the town committee raises the questions regarding the land. The land should either go to church or the town committee. The chairman and the members of the town committee visits Lentina's house, but Lentina already prepared the document with the help of her nephew. She shows the document to the town committee. She has mentioned some condition in a document to hand over the land to the town committee. New cemetery must be surrounded with flowering trees and no headstone. Donors should be allowed to choose their plot first. Names and plot number must be in committee register. The above conditions should be accepted by the town committee. If so, she is ready to hand over the land to town committee freely. The committee accepts the condition. One day, Babu, Lentina and the gardener go to the new cemetery land. The gardener plants the laburnum plant in the allotted plot. Lentina is very happy. Babu goes frequently to the cemetery and checks the plant. Lentina becomes tired because of her old age now. She asks Babu to take care of the plant. One day Lentina becomes unwell. Babu stands outside the room. He only nods his head that conveys the message that the plant is growing well. Lentina becomes all right next day. This shocks everyone. She does her work briskly. Her sons are surprised to see their mother's sudden change. Next year, a miracle happens in the cemetery. Lentina planted 2 laburnum plants. One faded, but the second one blooms with tiny yellow flowers. Babu wants to share this happy news with Lentina, but he is afraid of her health condition. So he decides to tell her in next season. Next year the tree grows taller. Lentina becomes tired of her old age again. She wants to go out, but doctor advises her not to go outside. But finally she is allowed to go out. One day she goes with her maid and Babu in car. The tree doesn't give flower at that time. She is disappointed and stops to go out. Babu tells her that she need not worry about the tree. She asks him to visit the cemetery frequently. One day Babu sees the flowers in the laburnum tree. He rushes to Lentina's house to inform about it. When he comes near her, she tells him that she doesn't want to hear anything. She tells him that she felt it in her bone. She goes with her maid and Babu in car. The car stops outside of the new cemetery. She sees the laburnum tree with full of flowers. The maid is surprised to see the tree. She goes to the park and sits for a few minutes. She drinks tea and eats biscuits. She reaches her house and shakes her hand with Babu and the maid. She thanks both of them. Babu understands her thoughts, but maid perplexes. Lentina does not go out anymore, but she looks energetic. She cleans her room. On the 5th day after visiting the laburnum tree, she asks her maid to help to take bath. She goes to sleep early after saying good night to the maid. Next day the maid brings tea to Lentina, but Lentina doesn't wake up. She looks stiff. Immediately the maid calls everyone. Babu realizes what might have happened to Lentina. He cries like a child. One of the sons checks the pulse of his mother. They call doctor. The doctor tells them that their mother died in her sleep. The story tells us that how an ordinary woman tries to fulfill her wishes. She dies happily when wishes are fulfilled. Every year in the month of May, the tree blooms with the yellow flowers. There are so many flowering trees in the cemetery, but the laburnum tree grows taller than the other trees and stands majestically. Thank you, students.